Hey everyone, welcome back, and thanks for joining again. It's really awesome to have you join and to be listening. I'm really honored by the amount of people that are actually just following and listening. So thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Um, for those of you that don't know, one of the things that I have shared in a lot of my podcasts, though, but I had cancer a little more than 5 years ago. It was still when I was back in South Africa. And when I got diagnosed, I'm telling you, it's one of those things that you think, it'll never happen to me. It's like almost an unbelief. You cannot believe, what, cancer? I'm not even 40. How can I have cancer? I try to live a healthy lifestyle. I didn't I didn't smoke. I didn't do anything that it's like, why me? So it's definitely one of those things that happened in my life that it was definitely the unexpected. You really just, I never thought that would happen to me. And it was difficult. Don't get me wrong. Trying to get over cancer and work through all the treatments and how it affects your family and just the mental side of it, if never mind the physical health side that you need to get through. That's not easy. One of the things that I was so grateful that I had in place is we had private medical and we had policies in place, insurances in place. And I, I just, all I can think is it was so hard just trying to get through what we went through. And I say we because it affects your whole family. In that time of my life, the last thing, and I'm so grateful we didn't have to worry about, was financially being able to pay for the medical treatment that I needed, for just having the extra money for all the other hidden expenses that come up. I was really grateful to have those policies in place. And even although it was back in South Africa that I had those policies, it was really something that I've learned in my life is, planning ahead sometimes and thinking about the what ifs and being risk averse, and trying to think about what policies, insurances to take out. You know, it's important. It really is. And it's also important when you're on your immigration journey to also think about those things. We mustn't forget about those things. There's so many other things that we're going through on this immigration journey. And sometimes we just forget, what about those what ifs? What about if something had to go wrong? Am I covered? Can I afford it? How much is the cover? What is the cover that is available? So it's those sort of things that I really wanted to help with as well as part of the series that we've kicked off with Ivandee from Migrant Financial Services. So today we're going to get into episode 2. And episode 2, she's actually going to start telling us a little bit more around what are the different types of insurances that are available here in New Zealand and what should you consider right away and what can delay a little bit. Obviously, it's all dependent on your finances and all the rest of it, but this is why she's here. She's going to help us and teach us and show us what is available and help us make the right decisions. So I know it's not a fun topic talking about finances and getting into insurances, and it's the last thing you want to usually spend your money on. But I promise you, like I learned the hard way. No, I say the hard way, I'm more grateful, is I had those insurances in place when life happened. And even although I thought it would never happen to me, it did. So I was grateful to have that in place. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Ivandee, and we're going to start getting into the second episode. So thanks, Ivandee. Over to you.
Thanks, Brett. Really excited to be kicking off the series again. So
Awesome.
just to remind those who may be joining a bit later, we'll just go
Yeah.
through it again, recap. So MFS is designed to be an end-to-end service or full service financial advice for people immigrating to New Zealand. We started off with the income and budget, which is usually the very first question people have. So our next step would be the insurance part, which is generally something
Yep.
that we pick up once people are onshore. But it is a discussion we touch on briefly if I have the conversation while we're with them offshore. So if you're looking at South Africa, for example, insurance in SA is about 4 to 5 times more expensive than what it is in New Zealand for very obvious
Yeah.
reasons. It's risk.
Yeah.
But one of our main concerns is usually the life cover component, because that's to the next point, which is the last will and testament. So we actually attach a copy of your life cover to your last will and testament. But we'll go
Yeah.
into
Okay.
the different types of insurances that we'll cover. And let me see. Okay. So we'll just at the beginning where most people generally start with the insurance. As we all know, insurance is a grudge purchase. It's kind of need it and
Yeah.
not have it, or have it and not need it
Yeah.
type of thing. But
Yeah.
one of the things we do try and tick off in the beginning, especially while there's still one income, is at least the life cover components. And I wish I
Yeah.
could say I haven't heard of people passing really soon after their landing, but I have actually had a client pass 2 weeks after
Yeah.
landing in New Zealand, drop dead of a heart attack. So it happens.
Yeah.
So the life cover, yes, very, I think the name in itself is pretty standard, no matter
Yeah.
which country you're coming from.
Yeah.
Very, as far as providers are concerned, pretty much the same. You pass, they
Yeah.
pay. They
Yeah.
all have a funeral benefit built into them. But yeah, the importance for us is to attach this to your last will and testament, which will be the
Ivandee,
next episode.
I think you've touched on one now, just personal to me. And I did share this with you, and I've mentioned on a lot of my podcasts and stuff, is my sister-in-law passed away last year. And I'm telling you, it's life. That's what happens.
Yeah,
We would never have expected this. When we were
yeah,
busy planning our immigration journey to move here, we even arranged that my mother-in-law would end up staying with my sister-in-law, because she used to stay with us. So it was hard enough for my wife and I, feeling like we were almost dropping my mother-in-law, because she used to stay with us and she needed help and everything like that. But moving, we couldn't bring her along. So we had to find another home for her. And that was my sister-in-law. And then
yeah,
within less than a year of moving, my sister-in-law getting sick with cancer and then passing away last year, it, these things happen. You just
yeah,
don't expect it. You really, really don't.
yeah,
But I can tell you that we had a will in place, she had some insurances and everything in place. So we were grateful to have that in place. But
yeah,
the point I'm trying to make is these things happen. You really think it
yeah,
won't happen to me? Not now. I'm young.
yeah, yeah,
I'm going to live until I'm 70, 80 years old, or
yeah,
older.
yeah.
No, these things happen when you're in your 40s, 50s, man. They can happen, and it
Can
sucks.
happen. Yeah, I mean, my late partner passed away at 29, so you just never know. And I think it doesn't happen often, but every now and then I do have people that they're super keen to get their wills done and
Yeah,
drafted because they have kids on shore, right?
yeah,
And they want to sort out the guardianship, and that's all fair and well. But you need to make provision for the guardians.
yeah,
It costs money
yeah,
to take on other people's kids.
yeah,
And when you're looking at the cost of life cover here, that is so
yeah,
incredibly cheap. It is such a simple thing to do and process. It should be one of the first things you tick off when you
yeah,
get onshore and make that provision. And also keeping in mind, whatever cover you may have had back in South Africa, it is highly unlikely it is fit for purpose in dollar value to New
yeah,
Zealand cost of living.
yeah,
So when you look at the budget that we did before,
yeah,
think if your spouse is left alone here with 2 kids, how is she going to survive or he
yeah,
survive
yeah,
on one income and no provisions being made?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a small cost. Make that provision for your family and give some peace
No,
of mind.
makes sense. 100% agree with you. It's
Um,
definitely a place.
the
I know
other
some
thing,
companies do it as well. So I know
mm,
I'm best, and I think, yeah, my wife too. But the
yeah,
companies that we're working for here, they
yeah,
actually include life insurance as well.
yeah.
But it hasn't been enough for what we worked out. So
Mm,
I have got
correct.
further life insurance over and above what the company gives. They
Yeah,
even usually offer you, I don't know, it's twice your annual salary or three times or
two
whatever
or
the
three
benefit.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
we do normally offset if there is a staff benefit, do try and offset it so that not all the cost is falling on you.
yep, no, makes sense. No, okay. I think we've noted definitely life insurance.
Okay.
Definitely a number one you got to consider.
Yeah. Then the next one is trauma cover, which we know as dread disease back in South Africa.
Okay.
So this is a lump
Yeah.
sum payments to cover your dreaded disease. Really, the name speaks for itself. So this is mainly around your cancer, your heart, brain and nerves, loss of function. So lump sum payment that will help. I think a lot of people are also under the impression if there is pre-existing stuff that you are uninsurable. That's not always the case. we do extensive homework to see which insurer might be willing to look at it or overlook it, should we say. But it's not, I wouldn't just say because you've had it, it will never be covered again.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. That's exactly what happened to me. So I have mentioned it to people before, and on my podcast, I did have cancer. And when we were moving across 3 years ago, I was in the middle of that 5-year period. So they only consider you like cured, or that it's not going to come back
Less
after
risk.
a 5-year
Yeah.
period. Okay, so
Yeah.
they usually look at a 5-year period. So I was still in the middle of that 5-year period. So
Mm.
even coming across here, I knew I would still have to go through the medicines and checkups and whatever else.
Yeah.
But to your point, I was so grateful. Not only did I have private medical back in South Africa that helped for all the medical costs, we did have cover where there was a payout as well. So that helped me and the family for any gap
Yeah.
in any hidden expenses that come up when you're
Yeah.
ill. So definitely.
Yeah.
What you also then told me, keep that policy in place, like you've mentioned, because it'll take a little while to get the relevant cover here, which is possible
Yeah.
in a number of different
Yeah.
ways, which obviously you would consult one-on-one and get into the detail of that. But
Yeah.
I didn't cancel until I knew I could get the cover here, which has taken a little while.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no,
Yeah.
100% agree. It's so important to have that in place. And you'd think it'll never happen to you. That's what I thought. I thought this will never happen to me,
Yeah.
man. Until that day happened where I went for that
Yeah.
scan and sitting there, and I think I was in denial the first few days even, because
Yeah.
it just didn't sink in. It's like when they've told you, you've got a mass.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what do you mean you've got a mass? No, you've got cancer. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
you're shitting me. I'm not even 40 years old. How can
Yeah.
I have cancer? What? You're
Yeah.
mad. Just, and that's where I was grateful. At least everything else you had to work through, mentally, physically, whatever, at least the financial
Yeah.
side, I didn't have to worry about.
Absolutely. And you're healthy. You don't smoke, you don't drink. I think a lot of people think that type of thing happens if you've got an unhealthy lifestyle. It's not the case. I had another client a few months ago. She just ran a Ironman, actually. And a month after doing that, she was diagnosed with stage 3 lung, stomach, and bowel cancer.
Yeah, it just happens, these things. It's called life. And that's why you've got to be prepared.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm really appreciating you going through some of this with us, so we can understand, okay, well, what are the options that are available? And I know it's relevant to what you earn and you've got to be careful, but at least you're giving us a guide on what are the minimum things you should really consider having in place, and what are the things, okay, maybe once you've got 2 incomes coming in, that you could consider, for example.
Also important to note in New Zealand, the trauma cover here, your kiddies are covered at 50% up to 50,000 with most insurers until the age of 21 at no additional cost. So I mean, God forbid, no one would wish that on any child, but it is a safety net for families. Yeah.
But it does happen. We had family friends back in South Africa. Just as I got diagnosed with cancer, it was probably 6 months after good friends of ours, their young child. I mean, how old was Josh then? I think he was probably about 8 or 10 years old, and he got diagnosed with cancer. So it can happen.
Yeah.
He's 100% cured, and he's phenomenal now. It's like a
amazing
story of hope, like you will not believe. But
the
point is, it can happen.
Yeah. All right, disability. It was, we were hugely insured or overly insured in South Africa, I think, for disability. But we didn't have things like ACC to help us. So that's the Accident Compensation Fund here. So disability, same thing, also lump sum payments in the event of becoming totally or partially disabled. So there are different variants of that. It's not necessarily only landing up in a wheelchair. It's really anything that causes you to become disabled that you're unable to work. So there would be mental health components, neurological diseases maybe that could affect your physical ability. Also lump sum payments, just as important as life cover, in my opinion, because I think there are 2 sure things that will stop you from earning, and that would be death and disability. So
100%. Yep. And I can even think, I mean, you think about the different skill sets that are coming across here. If you're a nurse, for example, in the medical or the medical industry, you need to be physically able to be able to do your job. So
or a trade.
Or trade, 100%. You need to be able to do, you've got to be physical to be able to do
Yeah.
And yeah, if you can't bring in money, just your family, yep, 100%
Yeah.
makes sense. Yep.
All right. Then income protection. And this is always such a difficult one because it's hugely important when you're here on one income because
Yeah.
there is only one income. So we do try and look at the mortgage and income components in the beginning for that one person earning.
Yeah.
So the mortgage component can also be your rent. So you don't need to own a home to have this.
Okay.
If you're renting, you
Okay.
can also insure. So
Okay.
you can insure either 150 up to 115% of your rent, which will
Okay.
basically then cover your rent and utilities,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
70% of your expenses
Yeah.
if you look at our
Yeah.
budget before,
Yeah.
or 45% of your income.
Okay.
So we do, if there's space in the budget, we do try and do this so that at least the roof over your heads are covered if
Yeah.
you are unable to work due to illness or injury.
Okay.
The other advantage of this particular one is that there are no ACC offsets. So
Okay.
if you're in an accident, ACC pay 80% of your income if you're
Okay.
unable to work due to an injury. So you can claim ACC plus this, but if
Okay.
it's illness, then you've got this one to fall back on.
Okay. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense, which is really cool. And
Yeah.
obviously, when a person had to consult with you, you would work out, depending on what I'm guessing the fee is how long
Yeah.
you would be covered for, be it a 6 month or a 6 year or whatever else, right?
To age 65 or
Yeah.
whatever, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
or the wait period. So if you've got some surplus money and you've got enough to tie you over for a month or two, we can try and stretch out the wait period to bring the premiums down as well. So, but yes, it's on a case by case. We'll work through the budget and try and make sure that it's within budget. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Brilliant.
The other income protection, that one does have ACC offsets, so you can't claim both, but you can insure more of your income. So we do see a lot of companies offering income protection as a staff benefit.
Yes.
If that is the case, normally those work benefits pay for 2 years. So what we would then do is put a 2-year wait period on your personal income protection, which brings that cost right down, so that when the work one stops paying, your private one will then start paying, so that you're fully covered. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay.
Okay. Specific injury, I don't remember this in SA. I think it is pretty unique in New Zealand. I could be wrong. This is basically an income protection for breaking bones. It's for smaller injuries. It pays quite a bit, and it only pays out for up to 12 months, depending on how bad the break is. But yeah, really good. I think if you're in a trade or you're into hectic sports or adrenaline stuff, maybe not the worst idea to have something like this. And yeah, also on a case by case, depending on your situation. Yeah.
Definitely a different one, not one that I'm used to hearing about. So yeah.
No.
Yeah, cool.
But strangely enough, when there's one very big insurer here that was the first to bring it out, they were inundated with claims when they actually launched this product, and they had to go back and redo the underwriting wording for it because they felt it was too lax. I think they were hemorrhaging money from the amount of claims from it. So yeah.
Well, it's just showing you the amount of people that are being a bit reckless and breaking bones and whatever else was a bit scary. That's another story on it.
Yeah.
But yes, I get you. Yeah. I was wondering in the back of my mind, how do they make this financially viable for them? Or the premiums must be so high.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, premiums are actually really, really low, but it is very specific what they pay for. So definitely not like your income protection. They have a list of breakages and that you need to endure in order for them to pay out. Also no ACC offsets on that one. So all right, private health, which I think is probably one of the biggest discussions in New Zealand, especially amongst us South Africans that are so used to having a private medical aid back home. I think I'm just going to stop the screen because the next one.
Yeah, let's talk through it.
Right. So private medical, look, in my opinion, I've personally gone through something where I had an injury that took 4 years in total to kind of get through all my specialist surgeries, etc., because of the wait times. That is the biggest the biggest thing here. It's not about the quality of care. There is nothing wrong with the quality of care through the state systems here. It's the wait period. There's just such a shortage of medical staff in the country at the moment, but I cannot fault the country's quality of care in any way, shape, or form. So the wait time is the biggest thing, and then the other biggest thing, in my opinion, probably number one, would be the non-pharmac treatments. So that is your newer, more advanced treatments, whether it be cancer or other diseases, depending on the insurer that would pay non-pharmac for non-cancer related issues. It's things that the state doesn't pay for. Those medicines can run around $500,000 a year.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's those life-changing meds that you just won't get it here otherwise. So that's the huge component for it. I know a lot of people take it out to get that dental cover or the optometry cover.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, the cover's so minimal that for me wouldn't be the driving force. The driving force would be to get into a specialist quicker, to have the elective surgery quicker, and get the treatment you need and get back to work. So
I'll just add there, you're 100% right, Ivandee. So we already mentioned, I came across here and I was in the middle of, being post in my cancer treatment and everything in South Africa. Now, when I first got here, I had to rely on state for all those follow-up checks and everything with my cancer treatment. So I had to get a state-assigned oncologist. I had to go for MRIs via state. I had to go for blood tests and scans and all the rest of it. That was covered by state. Although we were on a private medical when we first got here, straight off the bat, they said, look, they're not going to cover me 100% for pre-existing conditions. I had to stay, there's stipulations, like what type of policy I had to be on for X amount of period, whatever, till I eventually got all that cover. So I had to go through state. And just to your point, it worked. The care I got was just as good as the private care that I got back in South Africa, but it took forever. And when I say forever, I mean, when I was on Discovery back in South Africa, you book with your oncologist, you would see them within the same week or next week. Okay, so I booked for whatever appointment I had to have. You needed to get a scan, he would tell you go within a couple of days, if not the next day, and get your scan done. Whereas here, I first had to go through to a GP. The GP had to assign, had to refer me to an oncologist. I only got to meet that oncologist. It took months before I got my first meeting with the oncologist. The oncologist meets you, gets caught up on your case, and then says, okay, we need to do further scans. That took further months to get those scans done. So I'm talking, it took months to get things done. It gets done, and the care is great, it's just long. And now, since then, I've now been here 3 years, and I'm on full private medical, everything, even pre-existing conditions are covered now. So I've had to also experience going through some medical treatments and whatever since then, but now not doing it through state. And to your point, it's almost like you jump the queue. Because yes, I still have to go to my GP, and yes, he still refers me to a specialist, but the specialist
sees you quicker,
private, and he sees me quicker. And generally, it's at his private offices or whatever else as well, or offices linked to the medical insurance that you've got. So in my case, it's Southern Cross, so I could go to that quite quickly. And within, he had to do a surgery or whatever. I can't get all the detail of that, but within a week, he was able to book me into the surgery. So it moved quickly. Probably the same people that also help out in the public sector.
And they do. They do. But they get paid quicker.
So that was the benefit exactly of having the private medical insurance. Yes, we also get the optometrist stuff, and yes, we also get the dental care, so I can go, because dental's damn expensive here. It's like ridiculous. Okay, so that's probably a tip. Sorry, side note. If you're in your home country, get all your dental work done as much as possible, then come here, because I promise you it's damn expensive. Anyway, that also helps. So, 100% hear you with the private care. So I still think if you can afford it, it's something you can do once you've got two incomes, for sure.
Absolutely. And I think the other important thing for me was to be able to go for a second opinion. You know, if you're going through NHI, you're going through ACC, who you get is who you get, unless you want to go back to that queue. So that was a huge driving factor for me as well. I never want to be in that position again where I have to wait so long to get into a specialist or to get a surgery done. And for me, I would cut my budgets in other places just to make provision for that. Yeah.
No,
And there's
agreed.
ways you can dial down the costs and that, but yeah, we'll talk to each individual family and see what's best for them as well.
No, thanks, Ivandee. 100% agree. Private insurance, it's something, if you can work it into your budget, agreed.
Yeah.
It's something that's really worth it. And don't think that you're coming to a first world country and it's all perfect.
Yeah.
It's not. We do have problems as well. We don't have enough doctors and specialists in the medical fields and whatever else. And a lot of them, it's true that a lot of them do go to Australia and whatever else. But we do struggle. That's why we've got the issues we've got.
Yeah.
But the care you do get through, like you said,
really good.
is good. It's just to get to see the people that are there, that are those specialists. And that's where the private medical helps you jump the queue.
Yeah.
So that's what you want to be able to do. So, awesome.
Absolutely. And then, the last component would be just the business insurance. We do see it quite a bit, as soon as immigrants get residency, quite a few want to move on to the next stage, start their own businesses. So really important when you're self-employed and in partnership with someone else that you have business insurance, because you have a legal document called a buy-sell agreement that gets drawn up usually when there's two partners in a business. And we, again, send that policy through to the solicitor to attach to the buy-sell agreement. So if one of the directors or owners had to pass away, that there is provision for the business and the partner if something had to happen to you. There's also business income protection if you're unable to work, to pay out a certain amount of money. It's not for an extended period of time like private is, but it's something. It's something to generate money back into the business while you can take time off, heal, recover, and not worry about income for the business.
Look, I think it's brilliant to note that one as well. So I've already got some friends here. And yes, it takes a little while because you usually get across with an employer first, most people. Okay. I know there's other pathways that you can get here besides going and working for another company here, but most people do start working with a company. And then there's a lot of people that do start off their own businesses eventually once they've settled. And we've got friends that have done the same thing. So it makes 100% sense. You've got to now start thinking about your family, your partners, everything like that. God forbid something actually does happen. But good to know there's those type of insurances as well, which is really cool.
And then lastly, kind of a small component, but now with that new visa being brought out, we're seeing a huge interest in it, is the parent booster visa. But any travel insurance for people wanting to come in. But that parent one, an important one, it's an immigration requirement. And I think I'm glad that they've done it, because that also happens. Your elderly parents come, make provision, although they are covered by ACC, they're not covered by NHI if they're here. So good to have insurance onshore for the unforeseen should something happen.
So I'm going to ask a few questions because you threw some acronyms at us again. So just for the people that know, so NHI, just explaining what that is. I think you're meaning the National Health Service.
National
so that's
Health.
The actual health service. Yeah. So just to add on to that, I know that you help with the parental visa, and it's awesome. And I pray one day I can actually get my parents across, or at least my mom or somebody to come, eventually that's my dream one day. So maybe we can eventually get there. We're not at that stage yet, but a lot of people know we've just got my nephew across, and you're actually working with me. He's only been here for a month. And currently the visa that he's on while he waits for his residency is just a visitor visa. So this is exactly where you're trying to help us get insurance for him in place. Yes, he's covered by ACC, but he's not covered for any other medical
illness.
And that, illness. So that's where we're trying to cover him until he becomes a resident, and then it's a different story. Then we move him on to our own medical, whatever else. So the same applies, like you said, for your parent. Only difference is on that visa, you have to have the insurance. It's part of it. Whereas with us, with my nephew, we don't have to have the insurance, but it's if you can afford it, and if it's the right, if God forbid something goes wrong. So
and then we also obviously have families similar to your situation, where the kids are basically students or here on a student visa. They don't, they're over 18. So we, like with Andrew, we step in and help there because they need to bridge that gap until such time that they're residents or have a work visa that they're covered with a medical aid. So there are medical aids out there, or private healths out there. that will cover people on a visitor visa, whether it be
Okay.
parents, students, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually an interesting one to know, because I know we do, or I do have a few listeners that are coming across generally from America. And a lot of those guys that come across from America, if they can't find actual skilled work, they're coming through on study visas, a lot
Yeah.
of them. And they're
Yeah.
studying for a period of time. And I can't get into all the details of the
Yeah.
actual visa, but I know
Yeah.
they study for a term, and then eventually they can start working and whatever else.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing this is the type of insurance that they
Correct.
have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And most of the institutions also want proof that you're insured. So
Okay.
I've had quite a few clients, whether universities or high schools, depending on age,
Yeah.
have asked for proof that you have private health cover in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. No, that really helps. I know we just chatted through all the different
Sure.
insurances again, but
Okay.
just remind us the different insurances now. Just quickly a recap of the different insurances that are. I'll add it onto the screen when I do the recording. But if you could
Okay.
just remind us, what were the ones that we went through today, quick?
Okay. So life cover,
Yeah.
trauma cover or dread disease,
Yes. Yes.
total permanent disability,
Yeah.
income protection,
Yeah.
mortgage and income protection,
Yes.
specific injury, private
yes,
health,
yeah.
and
Yep.
business insurance and travel insurance.
And travel insurance. Okay, so those are the different options and everything we want to go through. So awesome. Okay, and just
Yeah.
a question. I know, and tell me, I know if you can't give this advice because you have to meet with a person face to face, is if I'm here on a work visa, is there any insurances I cannot take until I've got residency, or?
No, so you can take any insurance you're eligible as long as your work visa is more than 2 years. So the rule of thumb here, if you are eligible for national health, you're eligible
Yeah.
to take out private cover here.
Brilliant. Okay, that's a good rule of thumb, which is really
Yeah.
perfect. Awesome. No,
Yeah.
thanks for
So
this,
2 years or more, pretty much, is your
Okay.
the visa status, except for the
Yeah.
students, because that's a visitor visa. Yeah.
Yes, but that's a different insurance that goes and links
Different
to that.
insurance. Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. No, really, thanks for this, Ivandee. This really does help. I mean, this is, like I was saying in the very beginning when I opened up, this is something that a lot of people, you said it, it's a grudge purchase. You don't,
Yeah.
it's not fun talking about insurances
No.
and stuff like this. I'm sorry. I know
Yeah.
it's your world, but it's not fun. But it's
No.
a necessity. It's something you have to consider,
Yeah.
and something that you really need to think about. And
Yeah.
it's really when, God forbid, those things do go wrong, when
Yeah.
you're like, I don't want you to be in a situation where I wish I had got that cover.
Yeah.
Like I gave with my example, I'm so grateful I had that cover.
Yeah.
So it's important for us to think about these things as well. And I know as an immigrant, there are so many things going on in your world when you're even moving across here,
Yeah.
from the stupidest things of trying to, just pump your car's tires, or filling up with fuel is on your mind, and trying to work out where to buy what and everything like that. So
Yeah.
I know that's what's overwhelming. It's like
Yeah.
too much information all at once. But I
Yeah.
don't want to forget about the insurances for the what ifs, because that could just really crumble everything and make
Yeah.
them really difficult. So thank you for sharing this, Ivandee. It really,
Of
really
course.
does help.
And I
I'm
think-
loving this series.
I think hugely important, and I cannot stress this enough. Do not cancel your insurance back home until you're onshore and we've had a chance to pick up your application here and get it across the line. You don't know we can't give advice while you're still abroad. We have to wait until you're onshore and go through the motions with the insurer here. Don't cancel your cover until we've had a chance to switch you over on this side.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you say cover, are you even including the private medical, or are you?
No, not private. So your sorry, not the medical, but the life cover, trauma, income protection. There's very few insurers that will cover you if you're working abroad, but the main one would be your life, trauma, and disability. Please don't cancel.
Don't cancel those.
No.
Keep those in place until you're onshore, can meet with you,
Yeah.
actually get true advice and get the
Yeah.
relevant cover you need before you cancel what you want.
Correct. Yeah.
No, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Thanks for that, Ivandee. That really makes a lot of sense. Okay, so that's the insurances. So I'm really, hey, I don't know about anybody else, but this is definitely helping me and giving me a lot more clarity on what we can get, and what we should and shouldn't get at what stages and all the rest of it. So that really helps. What's the next step? We're obviously going to be talking next. I think that's now where we're going to do that interview with Alistair, and we're going to talk through will and testaments. Yep.
Correct. Yeah. So as we take out your life cover, the first thing we do is send a copy to your solicitor to attach to your will. And we'll explain in the next series why that's an important step as well.
Brilliant. Ivandee, thank you for your time today. This was really cool. And I'm looking forward to the next one where we get to meet Alistair as well. And awful thing to have to talk about because we talk about death here for what if something goes wrong, but it's important to understand what those options are and why it's important to have those in place as well. So thanks, Ivandee. You must keep well, and we'll chat soon.
Thanks, Brett. Cheers.
Bye.